Hello. So this is a brain dump about friendships, community building, and honestly just everything in between since it's been a while and just getting stuff off my mind more or less. So let's start off with friendships. So long story short, moved to the city about a year ago, the city being Chicago, Illinois, and it's been really fun in terms of being able to start fresh and just see what there is out there and just I've said this a million times by now, but just explored like meetups, fitness groups, and a little bit of everything in terms of what the city has to offer, and pretty much am able to say that I've done a lot in terms of just seeing what's out there and just being able to say that made a bunch of new friends and met a lot of new faces this year. As for more just friendships and community bits and pieces, I can say that I've helped create a community that I'd wanted to see when I was moving to a new city, and that's been great. I'd say alongside that has been just throwing myself at just literally like everything, and I would say overextending can easily burn a person out in terms of I feel like overextended in terms of more social battery in terms of things and just not being able to pour out of more of like an empty cup in terms of figure of speech. I think for me it's just like seeing where my gauge is at, just like how much energy you have in terms of going to different things, trying new things out, and now just balancing it on top of more school in addition to more working as a whole and just figuring things out for myself at the end of the day. As I would say in the past, it has been just like moving around and seeing if one city was vibes or not. And I think it's just like I saw this video from Varun Rana where he does a lot of more like satire type pieces, but I think he summed it up better than I can, where he led by you have all these different experiences that you can experience in different type cities, and they're all replicable in one city one way or another, with the caveat of say like a smaller one versus like a bigger metropolitan one. But the takeaway is more that you can have these more universal experiences, meet different people that are different from you, similar to you, from all sorts of different backgrounds, and make core memories and experiences from those. I could say I really resonate with that as a person who's been around and just, I would say just like transplanted myself into just like different environments and uprooted myself from what was once comfortable and just having to just introduce myself over and over again and being able to deal with the uncertainty when it comes to that. I would say with like friendships and community bits, it is really hard to generalize different bits and pieces when it comes down to that because you take a while in terms of forming these different connections and friendships and different things in a grade school type environment versus like college, and now once you're in the quote unquote like real world it's a lot more different. So I like to think that like K-12 is more like hold your hand and just like are more have an environment where that's already set up, and then after that if you're not like college bound it's just like okay, here you are, you're in the real world. Versus like college, you still have some guide rails in terms of like clubs and activities and different things, but now the onus once you're on the more just as an adult, post college, post grad, or what have you in terms of that, it's more just you have these different like social clubs where it's like wow, you have to pay money to make friends. I'm just like I'm okay for now, I will pass. But I think it's like as an organizer for a meetup, it's that we do pay a base rate to organize these different things. But meetup as a whole, in addition to Eventbrite, has different free options in terms of you just join a bunch of different ones, see what's for you, and you just do a bunch of like low cost or non-committal activities in terms of say you want to try out like going working out with different people or listening to music or going to the arcade or different things and just trying to find your people in one way or another. I would say with community and what that looks like is that it's not necessarily like a uniform sort of monolith of people who are similar background more or less, as once you just enter real world there's people that are like significantly older, significantly younger, in addition to similar space of new grad right out of college, working similar environments, whether it's corporate, nonprofit, etc., and just being in that capacity where you might have work friends or you might not due to one condition or another. Like, for example, I have a friend where, or more best friends, having grown up with one another, he has found an environment where his work friends are his more closer friends and they're more new grads as well, and they've been able to connect well with one another one way or another. For me, I can't say I relate to that as much, but I would like to think that there is more just like sameness with more 20s, which I would say that generalizes it, but my takeaway is that, like, in the mid sort of 20s, I'm 25, so I am not really able to speak to late 20s, but I can speak to more of the earlier ish parts where there is that ambiguity when it comes to it, and that sameness where it's like, oh, you're relatively at the same stage of life, but not necessarily, because that really generalizes it as well. I will not go down that rabbit hole right now. But for purposes of simplifying it, it's that similar, if you simplify it to that way, it's like similar age groups and more that relatability factor. And that sometimes comes from meetups or organizations or these different social clubs, or there might be like one bias one way or another, because online I'll read sometimes like, oh, I joined these different type meetups and they're significantly older than me, I can't relate to it as much, or I'm significantly older, or like one factor like different one way or another, and just dealing with that ambiguity one way or another. I think this has just been brained up of just talking about different things when it comes to community and friendship. And I would say that for me, it has been just sort of drinking out of a hose at times, as I'm just learning as I go as well, in terms of organizing just like some post college type social club slash meetup, having mainly had exposure to more like a college, more of a professional type setting where it's more, hey, let's bring in some speakers to speak to students, or let's have these people host workshops to teach students different things. And it's been really engaging to have this new environment, but at the same time it has been tiring at times, because realize that at end of day when people self-organize these different social clubs or different endeavors, a lot of it is more volunteer run, where adults that are coordinating with other adults and not for like a price one way or another. If you want to pay for like a membership, just go to like those more like expensive exclusive ones that I can't speak to, like what was it called, like Soho House, or like one way or another. I think those are options one way or another, but I don't know enough to speak to them. I know of some that are more, say, nonprofit based, such as, say, Rotary International, more speaking of it from more of an observational view, where that opens doors towards more of a chapter by chapter, city by city thing, where they're more focused on more service, in addition to different ones specific to, say, like hobby or interest, whether that's, say, like public speaking with Toastmasters, or say like fitness with, whether it's November Project or something similar, with November Project being more like outdoorsy and just more like plyometrics in addition to just different outdoor fitness in the morning in terms of like stretches and different like exercises to complement running. I think this has been enough of a brain dump talking about community and friendships and how one defines it one way or another. I've been in a bit of a creative funk as I've been mainly studying or working or just trying to unwind one way or another, and I haven't had as much time to decompress and talk to a camera as I'm doing now. I think that's enough for today, but thank you as always for watching, and as always, don't forget to be awesome.